right. Greetings, cyberspace cadets. It's all right, prostate here, and we're doing a special thing today. It's going to be the Cloverfield call-in show. And to call in, you just join the Discord link that I just popped in our chat, and I'm going to repeatedly do that throughout the show, so people can come in and just come on in the hangout. You hang in the waiting room and you know, listen to us, and then when we pull you in, you want to put us on mute so we don't fucking blow your mind. We're going to blow your mind with all the info we're going to throw at you about this awesome fucking movie. And remember that there are going to be tons of spoilers. So if you have not seen this movie and you don't like it spoiled, get the fuck out and come back and watch this thing when you're done, because we're going to talk about some of the this is a fantastic show. Now I want to pull in my favorite brother from another mother across the land there on the other coast, my friend Mr. Big Fat Brian. Brian, say hi to everybody.
How's it going, everybody?
All right, we're live, and it seems like it looks like everything's broadcasting correctly, like it's supposed to. First thing I want to start off with is the original, the Cloverfield 3 poster. Okay, I don't know if you can. Can you see everything?
Yeah, I can see what's going on. I'm getting a bit of an echo.
Okay. Let's see. All right, is the echo still going on now? You still getting the echo?
Go ahead and talk again.
Check 1, 2, 3. Check your player.
Yeah, oh, my player is muted.
Okay, because I'm not hearing an echo on this end. Communist or
there we go. There we go.
All right, you're good. We're good now.
Yeah,
all right, cool. Fucking awesome. All right, and so it looks like the chat's doing pretty good. Be sure and say hey to the chat and get their asses in here if they want to come in and start talking about it. But yeah, all right. So we're looking at the original poster that was the first mock-up for it that came out last year. You know, when they started pitching this this movie, it was going to be called The God Particle. Okay.
Yes.
And there's this God themed kind of thing running throughout the movie. I think it's very interesting, and the fact that they changed it to Paradox was very telling. And I want to say hey to the next 6 minutes. If you want to join, just pop in Discord.
He's already in.
I put in the link. All right, we're going to pull these brothers in the room now. All right. I've got Discord pulling up, and it's showing me a blank screen. No way you doing that to me, man. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. Yeah, I've got next 6. Okay. All right, 6. You're with us now. How you doing, man?
What's going on next 6 minutes?
Well, I had a wonderful hamburger.
Fantastic. So this is the first official call-in type conceptualized thing I've ever done. So you are our first official call-in ever. So we're gonna go boop ba da bloop. All right. We did a little. Do your little horn thing, Brian.
Horn thing. Boop ba da da.
There you go. Yes.
I can see the confetti and balloons dropping from myself.
Right.
Yeah, it's a party in here.
Exactly. We are blowing it out. We're having some fun tonight, baby. All right. And Miss Thorne, if you see the Discord link, you're free to feel free to join us. We're gonna be popping people in and then throwing them back out. The Discord is the way to call in. All right, so we're talking about.
As soon as we're done.
Go ahead.
As soon as we're done with you, get out.
That's right. Yeah, we're through with you. Your money's on the dresser. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, and we got Cloverfield. So we're talking about the original pitch for Cloverfield 3, that we're going to call it the God Particle, right? Which refers to something called the Higgs boson particle, which supposedly is the seed of the creation of all that it is in this, and what we know is reality. They haven't. I don't believe that they've actually found one yet. I believe it's just a theoretical, a conceptual particle at this point. Does anybody know anything about that? I really didn't do a lot of research on that.
The only thing I know about all of this is that this has certainly been an issue that has come up quite a bit over the last maybe 10 or 20 years, particularly after we've been building these large hadron colliders. There's been a lot of talk about what these things could possibly do, and so on and so forth. And there's certainly a number of fears out there of what these things could possibly do. And I don't know enough about the science to say whether.
Well, didn't they turn on the collider in 2017?
I think I heard something like that.
Oh, sorry about that. Turn that off. Go ahead.
I think I somewhat remember hearing something about that. They had actually turned it on. I don't know what exactly they did with it when they did. I would say that something along the lines of what we see in this film here is probably something, a machine that's probably exponentially more powerful, and certainly the technology is further along. Of course, we have what what's governs our physical reality, and of course we have what is governable in the physical reality of this particular movie, and in the context of its particular physics.
Well, what's cool, yeah, and I was telling Brian before we got started is that, this whole idea of alternate realities and that whole, I believe it was quantum theory that theorized that, to dumb it down for everybody, basically for every decision made, there's a decision that's not made, and every time that this process happens, for everything that does happen or doesn't happen, there's a universe, creates it to where it's the opposite happens, right? So if I make a decision to turn left at that point in time, there's a separate universe is created to where I turn right.
It would be called an omniverse.
Exactly, because if you think about all the people and all the shit that's going on, that's a shitload of universes. I'm just saying. And the first time that I was exposed to this was in Star Trek's, the Spock's beard, famous Spock's beard episode. The Mirrorverse. The Mirrorverse, exactly. That was the first time I had encountered even the idea that there was an opposite or sometime a parallel existence or a reality with a complete Earth and a complete universe that was just the way that they describe it, it has to do with vibrations or some type of it's just something that minute as to the way that our atoms is the way that they vibrate separates us from them existing in the same space.
And with that, I'd like to say I think we've probably explained more about quantum physics than the actual movie did.
Okay, well then, all right. So we're given that as a backdrop. Now we're going to talk about the fucking movie, man. All right, because in 2008 we had the first movie, which was the just Cloverfield was the name of it, and the title at that point related to the it's a found footage movie, and it relates to there's a title that looks like it's some kind of government place title, and it's always got this during the whole movie there's like a time frame going on at the bottom, like you would for I can't remember what they're called, but it's the cut that you make while you're actually editing the movie, and it's that final cut before they make it, right? So and that whole deal with that is there's this creature that is 2008, and this creature appears in Manhattan, and and then 2 years ago, I guess that would make it, what, 2015, we had the second in the Cloverfield. What is that noise? Is it? All right, I didn't know what that noise was. That was weird. Okay, the Cloverfield's second movie was a movie called
10 Cloverfield Lane.
10 Cloverfield Lane with John
Goodman.
John Goodman.
Yep.
God, what was that actress's name? She's so good.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
And then the third guy that I can't ever remember that dude's name.
It's okay. He doesn't really matter in the story.
Yeah, but it's interesting because there's a scene comes up with Donald Logue plays this physicist in the Paradox movie where he's talking on a television program about how dangerous tampering with this particle and this type of power could fold in universes upon themselves, could collapse, could open the doors to hell itself. We get back to that, that spiritual thing. There's a scene, the actual name of the space station is the Shepherd, which is also, a name for Jesus, is referred to as the Shepherd, or, the whole idea of being sheep, in the Christian iconography. And then there's a scene where there's this character named Monk. He says a prayer, for everybody. Half of them are like looking at each other like, God, I've got to go through this bullshit, And the rest of the crew seemed like they had some kind of faith because I believe, a couple of the people, they kind of had an idea of what they were really dealing with, right? And and in retrospect, stuff that I've read and stuff, there's there's hypotheses out there that are saying, maybe they did open the doors to hell. Maybe that what some of this is hell. And then I don't know if y'all have seen a movie called Event Horizon.
Oh yes, that's one of my favorite movies.
Right, and Event Horizon.
Sam Neill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This kind of parallels that. And the thing, I noticed that there's there's some nods to several movies, and those two come to mind. And I think in Event Horizon, that whole idea of using some type of singularity drive, literally open the gates to hell. The dimension that it crossed into was hell itself.
There's I remember one of the interesting things about Doom, the first Doom. I don't know, they've kind of deviated with later iterations of the game franchise. I remember one of the interesting things about that is that the gates of hell were open technologically.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right? Let's say there's all these different numbers of universes, right? And in each universe, different decisions, but also different paths of life. Let's say evolution. You could have a hell-like universe, which gets crossed into one of our, what we would call normal universes, and you would have virtually the same problem. I mean, just imagine this. Imagine the dinosaurs didn't disappear in one of the, omniverse worlds, and all of a sudden, we found ourselves collided with a world that also had dinosaurs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
from what I understand, there is a fourth Cloverfield movie coming very soon called Overlord.
Yes.
Which takes place, I believe, in either World War I or World War II.
No, it's Operation Overlord. It's D-Day. It occurs on D-Day, and it's about a airborne group. I'm not sure if this is the 101st or the 82nd, but it's a group of those guys. I hope it's the 82nd because they all cut their hair into mohawks and shit. And they get lost, and they end up in this town where there's these experiments that are going on by, of course, Nazi scientists, and so there's a crossover there. And what they say in the movie is that when the event happens, is that it affects time and space. So I'm getting an idea of maybe that this shit's like rippling out in all directions, you know, instead of like a, you know, a ripple in water is that 2-dimensional ripple. We've got something like spherical, you know, going out, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Jacob Navo is saying, "Oh God, no more Cloverfield films." He may be disappointed to find out that there's a fifth one on the way as well.
Yeah,
yes,
and
it
has to do with the little girl that's with the dad that's on Earth when when the shit breaks loose on Earth. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about. I've got a thing pulled up where there's the Cloverfield. I don't know if you can see my cursor or anything. But it's got, you know, the 2008, the first movie, the 2016. Okay, it says there was Cloverfield Lane, and then this movie is supposed to be taking place in 2028.
Can we before we start into this, can we just establish something about Cloverfield 2, Cloverfield 1010 Lane?
Yeah.
I would assert that maybe that movie almost has nothing to do with the rest of the movies, because most of the movie is in a bunker, and only at the very end do you even see that they're part of this universe of Cloverfield.
Right. And that's something I wanted to touch into too, is that the name of John Goodman's character and Donald Logue's characters have the same last name, and it is posited that they're brothers. They both work for the same Taruago or something like that. It's a Japanese word with and there's this consistency. That's consistent with a couple of other Abrams related universes, and the Slusho thing. All right, and that's like been in just about everything that Abrams has done. All right, so what I'm going to go to now is I put up a main screen that's just going to have a slideshow, and it's going to go around until we come around to the actual. We've got a tip jar. If you feel generous, there's a Streamlabs link that should be popping up occasionally in the chat. So, if you're feeling generous, toss me some shekels. I'd appreciate it big time. Hey, man, always shilling for the deal, man. I can't, they come up with these great ideas. Let's see, Thorne and Jacob Navo, if you guys want to pop in the Discord for a little while, feel free to. I put a link in there, and if you need another one, I'll be glad to put one in there. So where were we? All right, I've got the slideshow going. We've got some pictures just from the movie. Not enough to really give away, everything that's going on, but, we do. Oh, cool. And it looks like now that the all right, so yeah, good.
The Slusho right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the Slusho, and I've also got Tim Tarbox. Hey, man, what's going on? I was just all this stuff that I'm using the OBS Streamlabs combo app, and it's got the stream, the chat going on in the side here, and the little thing. So it was working very well. I'm very happy with this. Okay. So you want to talk about the universe that all this, all right, here's the deal. All right, they kicked the thing, and at 2 years they're trying to make this damn thing work, and it's just not working. They can't figure it out. They keep going, they keep testing it, and it's just something's not working. So the crew, which consists, the original crew of this universe, okay, is, let's see, it's Tam, Volkov, Kyle or Keel, Schmidt, Acosta, Hamilton, and Monday. Okay, and Tam is the engineer, and she's the one that's different from the crew of the universe which the people switch with. I posit because of the plaque on the wall and some of the other stuff that's on the wall is that the crew of Universe 1's Shepard have ended up in the Universe 2 Shepherd, right? And it's in Universe 3. Okay? Because, and here's my reasoning. I'll go ahead and pull my evidence up here. This is the new universe stuff. And if you look in the background, you'll notice that there's a crashed, their version of the space station crashed, but it's called the Cloverfield. It's called the Cloverfield space station. So that's how we know we're in a different place than the other two, because both of those. And this Earth, if you look at it, it's a mirror Earth and it's upside down. And what I did was I turned it and I flipped it and then flipped it again and realized that it was and the reason they couldn't find it immediately is because it's on the other side of the sun, which also, mirror, and they can't communicate with it because the communications are off. So they don't know any of that shit, right?
Right.
And see, then what I did was I turned it upside down, went back with the sun thing, and then I'll flip it, and you'll see the flip version of the Earth is Africa as we know it. Yeah, right there it is, and Asia.
And they stayed as much in the movie.
Pretty much, yeah. But
that the Earth is upside down.
Yeah, but they didn't know it was our Earth. I mean, they didn't know it wasn't their Earth. They hadn't figured that out because they couldn't communicate with them. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say because they were so like wigged out because of all the shit that happened, because they knew there was something fucked up. They weren't reading that stuff at the bottom that this Earth that the German were moving ballistic missiles into onto the edge with onto the border with Poland, and the Chinese envoys have been withdrawn from the embassies all over the world. So it looked like maybe China and Germany are going to war in this universe, and so they can't communicate. And then of course they hear the girl, the blonde, whose name is Jensen.
In the wall.
Yeah, and they open the wall up, and then they find that gorgeous blonde there, played by Elizabeth
Debicki.
Debicki, yes, thank you. She's a South African actress who I saw this great thing that wasn't shown in the United States or on this. It was this thing for Tasmania called the Kettering Incident. And if you can get a hold of that, I got a feeling that's going to end up on Netflix soon. But she's the main star in that, and that has to do with similar shit. But she was really good in the part, I thought.
Very tall.
Yeah, very tall, sexy, blonde, thin, kind of, South African like Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Notice go ahead.
She was one of the main bad guys in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh, wow. See, I did not see that movie. And I've heard it's actually pretty good.
And she was also the Golden Empress in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
That's right.
Yes, she was, yeah.
I thought
my cat says hello.
Hello, cat. Okay.
So, for Cloverfield Paradox, there were a couple of things that I was looking at, and I'm like, if they really were in two universes at one time, for instance, the fact that, that one guy had the, what was it, the, whatever that thing was in his gut, the,
it was the what are those things called?
The gyroscope.
Yeah, the gyroscope. Yeah. He had that in his gut. He would have been dead instantly, along with all those worms.
Yeah. Well,
he wouldn't have been walking around and creating a gun or anything.
You see, here all right, here's where my theory comes in. All right, this is where my kookiness comes in. I think that all right, notice that he and the blonde woman, the Russian guy and the blonde woman, I think that they are spies from that second universe, and I think they knew that this was going to happen. I think in their universe, they had already started having effects from the thing, and they had to mimic the experiment just so they could get in and try to affect it to where she could change their universe back.
Well, I mean, I could believe that, considering that the as you showed, the news report had their version of the space station crash. So immediately, if you've been transported into a new version of the same space station, and it's the only thing that can save your planet, with new energy or whatever theirs was for, because we don't even know that theirs was for that, then yeah, I would probably, if I was trying to save my planet, I would definitely try and take over whatever ship wants to leave my orbit and go back to their planet.
I would also make the argument that a lot of these changes weren't actually happening all at once. So it could be conceivable that the gyroscope and the worms entered his body at different times.
That's possible.
Sort of like,
go ahead.
Sort of like particle observation, where they didn't know it was gone, and when they realized it was gone, it reappeared somewhere.
Maybe
that could be a possible explanation.
Yeah. I like the way you think. I like the way you guys think. This is cool, isn't it? To go in these places that these great movies like this let us go.
But just some of the criticisms that have been lodged against this film is that it felt incomplete, and there could be a reason for that, given that. What happened with the Star Wars Episode 9 is that their director, they let go of him, and they're bringing back J.J. Abrams. So he didn't exactly have the time to complete the film, I imagine, in the way that he originally envisioned with his crew. So he kind of left abruptly, and sort of, it could literally be an unfinished movie. But on the other hand, I would point out that it's, given the nature of this film and exactly what kind of subject matter it's tackling, this is probably one of these instances where we may not know all about this film until later films fill us in. This could all be what's called the long game. That it eventually will be explained in later installments.
Well, the fifth movie is supposed to relate to the girl, okay? And something else that I noticed is, like, when I first saw this movie, I said, this looks like a 4-hour movie that's been cut down, to like an hour and 45 minutes. Because, that first 2 years of them, failing experiment after experiment, I think they could have expanded that and kind of, let the characters breathe a little bit more and develop. If I'd had my druthers, and I'm sure that the director, if he, had the same thing going on, would have probably preferred that. Go ahead.
Does anybody remember how many times they actually failed?
They said it was like 200 and something times, if I'm not mistaken.
So let's jump a little further and toy with this notion that each time that they turned that thing on, they did damage to either their own universal timeline or the timeline in another neighboring universe.
Because they have no idea whether or not it was working in another universe.
Right.
I like where you're going with that, because it also brings up the theory of a third world at the end there, in which it worked.
Yeah.
One of my biggest complaints about that space station, though, is if you have failed 200 times or so, wouldn't you think maybe making the space station compartmentalized, where you could disconnect pieces of it from, let's say, a control room, would be sort of high on the priority list, especially if you didn't know what was going to happen?
Yeah, but given what I understand of like international space cooperation, this was explained to me by one of a professor that I had back when I was in college. Is that the way it works when other countries are funding their space program stuff, they
Yeah.
commit to it.
Uh-huh.
Whereas when the United States does it, they're kind of, pardon the phrase, Indian givers in a lot of respects.
Well, we do that a lot.
They can pull the plug, whereas that's why it's so hard for other countries to actually work with us with our NASA, is that they
Yeah.
understand that about us, is that when they commit to funding something that is space related, they go whole hog on it. They commit to it.
Yeah, that's why Virgin is doing so well right now. Because, they follow through.
Right. All right. And if anybody decides to come in for the come into the Discord, Brian or Six, if I don't see them, be sure and yank them in, because I'm doing like 5 different things at the same time. While
Do we have permissions to pull people in?
Wanda, you got permissions. If you're in the studio, you're part of the deal right now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But it's like the reason I wanted to do it like this is just in case we get a little too, we get overcrowded and it gets like, real chaotic. It's like that's kind of what I was wanting to avoid.
Yeah, if we get more than say 5 people in here, then it's going to get sort of a. There's going to be people compelled to not talk, and there's going to be some that will be eager enough to talk over each other, and that's when it starts to get a bit unmanageable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But it's like
so we
go ahead.
Jacob is his. I don't know exactly how to get him into. He needs to jump into one of the either the audience participation or general voice chat, I think. And
right.
then we can
either
yank
one
him
of
up
those.
from there.
Jump into voice chat. Either of the 2 voice chats below where we're at, and then we'll pull you right in. I'll do it. All right, JoJo, you there?
Oh, there we go.
There he is.
JoJo. All right, you are muted on your mic. Go ahead and go down to the bottom and unmute yourself. You see your microphone?
Yeah, you're talking, but we can't hear you, man.
Do you have push to talk on?
I shouldn't.
I think he's muted.
Yeah, it's muted. It's muted.
The cat says you are muted.
Yep, the cat does say.
JoJo?
And the cat knows best.
All right, JoJo is unmuted, and we're waiting for JoJo to say those very first words. JoJo?
Tell us what you really think, JoJo.
Wouldn't it be funny? You're not trolling us, are you, JoJo?
Can y'all hear me?
Excellent. Yes, sir. We
Might
sure
wanna-
can.
Yes,
Okay. My theory is John Goodman's character and the other guy are the same person.
Oh, wow. All right. Okay.
Which other guy?
Well, it goes back in time, though. All right. Right.
Okay.
Because we're 12 years in the future from when when that second movie takes place.
Uh-oh. I think the dog's disagreeing with you.
Okay, because I thought they're doing multiple Earths.
Yeah, it is multiple Earths, and I guess what you're saying is it may be the same guy, like born later in time or something. I mean, that's certainly possible.
Like, different people from on one Earth he could be this person, on another Earth he could be a different person.
I mean, sort of that could be a thing. You could be a much fatter or skinnier version of yourself in an omniverse, but a completely different person, not so much.
I mean, that's the problem with the movies. They don't they're not hammer on the head obvious with things.
Right. Well, I don't know if I would want that with everything though, because I like to use my imagination on stuff.
Yeah, these don't really this movie series does not appear like one that will hold your hand.
No.
They're good.
Yeah, what's your favorite one so far?
Oh, the first one.
Yeah, I watched that one last night, and I kind of wanted to get in preparation for this deal today, and
I did as well.
It's a really good movie. Yeah, no, was it? Yeah, I think it was on Netflix. It was on something because that you can stream because I streamed it for sure.
Because during the trailer they say if you need to catch up, you can watch on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I already owned it, so I just watched it again. I gotta say, I know a lot of people didn't really like the first movie because of the shaky cam and
that could turn anyone off.
And it was a very subtle movie. You weren't held by the hand in that one at all.
No.
Yeah.
They were sort of like, oh, here's some crazy monsters, and now run, and that was basically the movie.
Yeah, even the trailer was like a little, like it didn't give you clues.
Yeah, but I did really like the first movie, actually, and I know that's probably going to cause some people in the audience to get cancer.
I thought the movie was originally either a Voltron film or Godzilla.
I liked all three of them.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Original.
From what I've been, I just looked it up. The character's name in 10 Cloverfield Lane is Howard, whereas the name of the one in Cloverfield 3 is Mark, but they both have the same last name.
Yeah, Stambler.
Which is
right, Stambler.
And they're also physically, they don't look the same, apart from just some very general. They both appear to be heavy-set gentlemen. It's a possibility they could be related in some way.
Yeah. But I thought that everything for the movie was, even the ending's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the editing was pretty good. It seemed to really give the edge of mystery there.
Yeah, but like, I was thinking if they're gonna make like a fifth one or fourth one, they go back to these characters.
Well, that could be that they do that, but I don't think.
They're probably not going to do it until probably the end.
Yeah, exactly.
The last movie.
That turns me off films when they do that.
Well, I mean, but we already know that number 4 is going to take place in like the World War II era, or at least the World War II era on a different planet.
See, and that's right up my alley, man. I eat that shit up. The whole Wolfenstein, all that stuff.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, those are great games, man. I love all that kind of stuff. That alternate, alternate history, even.
Yeah, the Man in the High Castle.
Yeah, that's great. I can't wait for season 3 to pop out of that.
I thought this one German guy was weird, though.
What'd you say?
Something about the German guy.
Either British or German. The guy from Captain America 3.
Yeah. He's German. Yeah, he's a German actor. And, right. What about him?
He just felt weird the entire film.
Yeah, he was.
What they were trying to do is they were trying to build up doubt in the audience's mind about this guy. Is he a bad guy or isn't he a bad guy? And that his performance reflected that.
Yeah.
Well, it would appear that in the other universe, since the records of his transmissions were on that version of the Shepherd, that's another thing that kind of convinced me they were in the second universe's vessel, is because of those records, Um, uh, uh,
Oh.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense because each Earth could be different or the same, but something could be different.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
yeah, but I mean, if they're using the same type of coding for, messages, then it would be logical that the different space station, but with almost the same build, could
But
pick up the signals
the
from
one
the
thing that doesn't
messages.
make sense is how everybody thinks the monster. Everything stays the same except the monster grows faster.
Well, that could be one of two explanations. Well, actually, a bunch of explanations. First off, this is not the same monster that was in the 2008 movie. This one could be the same species of monster, but in a different developmental stage. Or there's a lot of different ways to explain this particular monster.
Well, Abrams said
Another thing that has been pointed out is the size of this monster compared to the one in the 2008 one. There's a few ways of looking at this. There is cloud cover that the monster bursts out of, but if you follow the Weather Channel at all, there's different kinds of clouds, and there's some that look like the ones that the monster burst out of that are from, say, 4,000 to 6,000 feet. So given that's pretty big. That's like that's many times the largest Godzilla ever portrayed in film or television. But you also have to understand that cloud cover has it can actually be a lot lower. Say in the case of like a massive fog bank, which may be only several hundred feet. So it's hard to say where exactly. So I was watching this video maybe a day or two ago, and whenever these capsules fall back to Earth, there's a certain altitude at which their chutes go up, and given that their chutes hadn't gone up, could indicate, one, they hadn't reached the threshold for which the chutes would have gone out, which is a couple of thousand feet. Somewhere near where the canopy of this particular cloud formation was. Either that, or there was a malfunction and the chutes didn't open. So I don't know. That's
well, and there's another thing. When the first movie came out, Abrams said that thing was a baby, and so it's 20 years later. Yeah, so it's like, so as when all that happens in time, that spot that happens in 2008 has happened in this. I mean, it's. So it could be that same creature grown even larger. There's so many different answers.
Right, and given the fluctuations of all these different timelines, I was actually, I thought back to the 2008 movie and the splashdown of the object just outside of, I believe it was Coney Island.
Yes.
And I was thinking to myself, maybe that's the capsule that's actually falling back in time.
I thought the same thing.
That could be.
Yeah.
Because I had forgotten about that until I saw that last night. So yeah, that's.
This movie is making the Zelda timeline seem easy to understand.
Yeah.
And here's another interesting thing. What if, and this is just this way out there, what if that was the exact moment that the Cloverfield monster materialized in that timeline, and it wasn't actually touching the ground, it was actually up in the clouds and fell to Earth.
Exactly, or it could have been on top of a building or a mountain.
Yeah.
Kind of like a.
So there's a lot of room to speculate.
Yeah.
What exactly did we actually see?
Yeah, and there was
So
a King Kong. They said that was a nod to King Kong because of the angle of the head, and it kind of looks a little ape-like for a second there, but then it looks a lot like that first monster too. And then the monster in the second movie,
Yeah.
you know, that was kind of looked like it was a giant fish or some shit swimming.
Yeah.
You know, it was that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, when you think about it, you look at it again, comparing the size of the capsule itself to the head that actually pops up out of the clouds. If it was truly 4,000 to 6,000 feet tall, the capsule would have probably been more akin to a speck of dust floating by it, rather than the size that it actually was. So
Yeah.
there's some discrepancy as far as the proportions.
I mean, there's a lot of
I agree.
discrepancies.
Well, yeah, there's going to be some open ends.
Is the company in on any of it?
Right, that's a good question. You know, kind of like a alien kind of situation where the
Or Resident Evil?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I'm going to just put this out there. I think maybe the monster only exists in one world at a time, but it is you know, we're going to get an origin story with the fourth movie, because for some reason I have a feeling, even though they've said that, you know, each universe can jump around in time, that they're going to go by, you know, the idea that the movie actually takes place in somewhere near 1945, and it's going to be some sort of creation that we made and unleashed upon the omniverse.
That's an interesting thing to consider too, because you know when the first movie came out, they were saying it had come from the bottom of the ocean, and
maybe that's where the pod landed.
Maybe so, but it seems like that as the you know they've gone on, they've kind of modified their whole deal, and then this whole you know God particle thing kind of opened up this whole multiverse thing, and I think Abrams was aiming at something like that from the beginning, but I didn't know. I don't think he knew how to get there when the whole deal started. You know what I'm saying?
I hope he doesn't bring flat Earth into the movie.
Oh, Ragnarok puts
I don't think they are.
You know, posits that it would be a good precursor to Pacific Rim. So you know, kind of okay, Zell Ballesta. Discord is it's like a chat software, and it's a way to do gaming and talk to your friends at the same time. And it's tied in with video. It's tied in with this whole multi-platform kind of idea, and it's free. It's available at discordapp.com. You can download it, or you can just log in and go through your browser, depending on, you know.
It's an interesting thing that Elfbrett brought up there.
Yeah.
Precursor to Pacific Rim. There was some speculation before the Venom movie was announced that the movie Life, starring Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal, was a prequel to Venom.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Okay.
I don't know. And if it is, then I would really, I mean, that would really ruin the series for me, because Life was such a shit movie.
Yeah, it kind of was. I didn't like it at all.
The creature in Life didn't look kind of like a symbiote. It looked like its own kind of thing.
Well, I mean, my biggest contention with that movie was that the scientists weren't actually scientists. Like, if they were actually scientists, they would have never gone in there with it.
Right,
the whole debacle happened. Like, you can't argue to me that even though they're human and they have emotions, that they would still go in there, because they're scientists and they know exactly what could happen.
Right. This is why filmmakers should never be scientists.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're the kid that pokes at the weird thing in the forest with a stick.
Yeah, I want to say hey to Tennessee Marine. out there in Chatville. I'm putting the Discord link in. Anybody wants to pop in Discord and get in one of the other voice chats, and we'll pull you in. If not, I'm thinking let's just go ahead and pop in the audience participation chat and just I think that,
So,
come on, JoJo, I'm gonna pull you in, buddy.
I can't pull him in.
I'm gonna pull all of us in.
robot
All right.
mascot fit into all this.
All right. Everybody good? Everybody hear each other?
I can hear.
Zell Balasta? Balstia?
So I don't hear anybody else.
Yeah, I see
Zell
Zell.
or Zell Balastia.
JoJo, are you talking?
I hear something. I don't hear a voice.
Let me look at the channel. Make sure.
I'm sorry about that, gents. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
This is fucking new for me. I've been a grandpa since I was 17, and I hate joining new shit. But you guys convinced me to do this Discord thing because I saw Cloverfield Paradox, and I'm like, I gotta talk about this fucking trash pile.
Fair enough, man.
Go for it, man.
If I don't sound good, please let me know. I will try to do whatever I can.
You're doing great, man.
No, you're great. Go for it.
You're doing great.
Tell us about your
Alright.
trash pile.
Let me just pull up the stream first, and then I'll get right back to you guys. Go at it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I thought the whole movie's release was insane.
Yeah, that was brilliant, I thought.
Why was it insane?
Like, I thought the movie was going to come out in summer or near the fall, not the night after the Super Bowl.
Right. I thought it was going to come out next year. So I was like, oh, fuck. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, it's great. You know, you release something immediately after the Super Bowl. All the kids
But
want to watch
that
something.
game was
You know.
sad.
That was a good game.
Except when Tom Brady played Butterfingers.
Yeah, I don't really have a dog in the pro or hunt. It's like I'm a college guy, but it's like, because I'm a Nick Saban freak. I was kind of pulling for the Pats, but because of Belichick. So, but it was good to see the Eagles win, man.
Now Tom Brady, he's an Olympic diver, right?
He's pretty enough to be one, that's for sure.
But I thought the whole movie, the way they did the two narrative structure was good.
I agree.
It was well acted.
Yeah, because if they
The acting was serviceable. Yeah, like it felt like obviously it was another movie that was reverse engineered to be a Cloverfield thing, but it felt like when I saw the announcement during the Super Bowl, and then it was like, hey, and you can watch it now. I was like, holy shit, this is genius marketing. Right. And then I watched the movie, and I was like, oh, this was genius marketing because it saved them a lot of money. Like it was smart enough to trick normies into thinking this is cool and this is how movies should be now. But it was but if you really like thought about the movie afterwards, you're like, oh, that just saved you guys like $40 million on marketing, didn't it? Didn't that just fucking save you?
Yep.
But the whole movie had a primer feeling to it.
Also, now that people have watched it, a bunch of
you just bring up Primer?
Yes.
Oh my god, I fucking love Primer.
Like the whole movie, the way it's set up.
That is my favorite time travel movie.
Then watch it again to understand what's happening.
That's my favorite time travel movie as far as like how it handles the rules.
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing.
Back to the main point of the Cloverfield, though. I would like to say that is also genius marketing in the tactic that they invested people into a series. It's not now all of these people have seen 3 and they have to go watch 4.
Just like the Marvel film.
even if you only thought 3 was a meh movie and you give it a 5 out of 10 or something, you still might end up. You know how it is. It's a boring night. I got nothing to do. What am I gonna watch? Oh, look, Cloverfield 4.
I mean,
You know?
they're using the Marvel method.
They're playing the long game, is what they're doing.
They are playing
Yes.
What do you mean?
Just because they didn't get that information.
Okay, essentially what they're doing is
They're literally doing that. She's literally doing
traditionally most people think of each individual film as
Its own thing.
it's next hurrah, but looking at it this way, you have two train cars, and what this kind of film is the coupling that is between the two train cars. You have something that is essentially what boils down to as connective tissue between two muscles.
Are you gonna mention the manga that was also tied into this somehow?
I don't watch manga.
No, I don't either.
There was a manga Abrams put out for the first film. It just when you put everything together, even the movies themselves don't make sense.
Abram would have
Well,
a manga.
I mean, like thanks to the Cloverfield paradox, it does everything does make sense. But to me, it was the most interesting. It was the most uninteresting way to go about it. It was just like, don't worry, they're different timelines, blah 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 blah. And it's like that's cool and fine, but like
here's one. It's a case where it's one of these kind of films that's going to make a hell of a lot more sense. After you watch later iterations.
I'll put it this way: like J.J. Abrams, for me personally, as far as big budget movies and ideas and concepts go, J.J. Abrams to me builds some of the most fascinating and engaging first and second acts of recent memory. And then the third act comes around, and then you go, you didn't have any plan at all, did you, motherfucker? And it's just like...
I agree. I mean, I feel...
Look at Star Wars.
Look
at Star Wars. Look, Star Trek's a great example, but I think Star Wars is an even better one, because once Last Jedi came out, and people were like scratching their heads like, wait a minute, what happened to Knights of Ren? Wait a minute, what happened to this and that? And then it was like, it was officially confirmed that JJ was like, yeah, I set shit up, but I had no idea where it was going, and I just softballed it to Ryan to have fun. And I'm like, you motherfuckers didn't know where this was going. And JJ like has a tendency of doing that, where he gave this TED talk about building mystery boxes, and
the infamous mystery box TED
talk.
And
he builds this beautiful mystery box, and you're like, what's inside? And you're like, please, JJ, tell us. And then like 8 years later, he opens it up and he's like, I don't even know what's inside. And you're like, you fucking asshole.
Just like with the first movie, they didn't tell you at all until now that the military killed the alien.
So if anyone that's a fan of this series, which I kind of like the first Cloverfield, I thought the second Cloverfield was close to a masterpiece. That was a great movie.
I mean, it was a good thriller.
I loved it. I thought the third one, Paradox, was totally where it should be, straight to DVD, straight to Netflix. It was meh.
Yes.
But like, if anyone that's a fan of this franchise thinks that JJ knows where this is going, like, give up right now. Give up now.
You should have learned your lesson from Lost.
Who's at the helm for the fourth and fifth films?
It's probably.
The fourth one is Overlord, right? In 1945.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the theory that I watched this YouTuber called A to Z, pretty cool guy, and he stumbled upon this theory of his own where he's like, okay, Tagratu was founded in what year? 1945. Overlord takes place in 1944. Tagratu is a Japanese company. Japanese and Germans were allies. What if Overlord tackles the fact that Tagratu was literally built as a company to get revenge on the U.S. and our allies from World War II, which is a pretty badass idea.
In that world, the Americans aren't fighting the Japanese.
Well,
what's that?
The American and the Japanese are allies.
See, everyone knows that the only way that could be true is if Tagaratu was named Tanga Eggs.
No. Well, you can consider the American and Japanese allies now, but I'm talking about World War II. We weren't exactly friends.
I just had scary. Cloverfield like Tanga egg.
Oh fuck.
But how are they gonna tie the new movie with what they've done so far?
Well, that's my issue. Is Cloverfield Paradox? It literally says like, yeah, we can do anything now, and so now it's just like we just wait for the next one, and they do whatever they want, and if no matter what they do, it's gonna fit because they're gonna be like different timeline.
Yeah, well,
like someone's got to be in the movie who's tied in like a relative of a character.
I do really
have tie-ins.
I do really feel that the third iteration here was the smoke monster of the of the series. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, well, it can do anything. It can sort of. This is the Swiss Army knife that we're going to use to finish it.
I did like this theory too. In the first Cloverfield, J.J. Abrams has talked about that monster being a baby missing its mother, sort of thing. And in 2030, in this new timeline, in 2030, they open up the dimensional rift, not just between space, but between time, so they can unleash all these different creatures and stuff. At the end of Cloverfield Paradox, we see a version of the Cloverfield monster, but it's thousands of feet high. This thing is insanely huge. It's nowhere near the size of the original monster, and the theory is that moment right there is when they split Mama from Baby, and that's why Baby's so mad, and that's why Mama's so mad.
That's the mom. Explain the ending where the satellite just falls into nothingness.
That's a different timeline.
Oh God, this is worse than comics.
Exactly.
Here's one thing that I've found to be kind of interesting about what just the structure of the series is that each one of these is tackling a different genre within science fiction. You have a pretty much a straight out monster movie, giant kaiju monster movie in the first one. You have sort of a sci-fi thriller in the second one, and you have a pretty much run-of-the-mill garden variety space sci-fi.
Yeah.
One in the third, and we're going back in time to do kind of like the horror sci-fi, possibly for the
war movie.
I'm sorry to
in the past period film for the fourth one, and I don't exactly know what they're going to do with the fifth one, but it's probably going to be
the
something.
The fourth one's going to be Nazi zombies. We already know that.
Yeah,
and so that's my whole point is that like Cloverfield Paradox kind of softens the intrigue and kind of like it flattens the whole intrigue and mystery, because Cloverfield Paradox literally says, okay, from this point on, shit happens because of this.
Yeah, it's blank check paradox.
They're gonna have the fifth one be about ghosts. They're gonna have the sixth one be about the Terminator series. They'll link that in somehow. They're gonna have the seventh one lead up to Pacific Rim. They'll have like.
Doesn't Cameron own the rights to Terminator now?
He does. I'm excited what him and Tim Miller are doing.
So how can they tie in Terminator if Abrams doesn't own the rights?
It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. We got Marcolium in the chat here. He says, "I love Cloud Atlas." We can't be friends anymore, Marcolium.
That was a movie so confusing. I own it, but I don't watch it.
I kind of like that movie. I kind of dig it.
It's awful.
I kind of dig it.
It's awful.
I love the rhythm and pace of that movie. I don't know, like
there is a rhythm and pace.
Oh yeah, I like it.
No, there's not. It's a snooze fest.
I like it, but only in one respect.
It's a 3-hour movie, and I was never bored, and I liked it. I took the trip, and it was good fun. I disagree with how they went about showing like different people in different makeup. Like for example,
that was decent. The makeup was decent.
Okay, yeah, but when they actually made Halle Berry look like a white chick. They pulled that shit off.
Yeah, they did.
But then they had the white actors looking Asian, and that was off. Like there was like for every good one, there was like a bad looking one.
I like it in only one respect. I like the art style.
I will say the makeup though was up and down, and I feel like they could have gone a different direction with it by simply just casting real Asians and real women and real, like, just cast them and like give a hint as to like this is still that person in soul as far as the soul goes. But I liked the trip, man. I had a good time with that movie. I know it gets trashed, but
Cloud Atlas made me respect the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds.
fuck off. No, Cloud Atlas is way better than that Green Lantern.
Oh,
but,
man.
the writing for Green Lantern, they could
Stop
have
it.
been.
Okay, I just won. I'm just letting you know I just won because you brought up Green Lantern.
Well, I mean, they could have gone the Superman Returns route for Green Lantern.
Fuck off. Come on. Don't bring up that movie to say no. Cloud Atlas was at least really trying to be a movie. It really was trying to be something profound. If it missed the mark for people, that's fine. It didn't miss it for me.
The new Green Lantern movie is decent.
Oh, God.
I don't even know what DC's doing anymore, man. We can't bet on that.
No,
they have no clue what they're doing. They tanked Justice League on purpose.
Think of the books. At least the books are still good.
But I've said this about 1,000 times, and here's what they need to do. They need to get with the people that make their animated films.
Oh, those are
learn story structure from these guys, learn character development from these guys, and and take their time instead of trying to instantly make what Marvel has already accomplished by playing the long game, as it were.
But I feel like they'll be criticized even if they do restart all over again.
Well, they don't have to restart over again. They just need to do something. They need to slow down.
Yeah, like start with a movie that explains everything. And then
not really, no. They need to come up with a plan. They need to come up with a plan. They need to come up with a plan to get their ducks in a row over the course of maybe 5 or 6 films. Pretty much what Marvel has already done, but
they're not though. They're doing the Flashpoint.
But to be fair, a Justice League movie is not like an Avengers film. You don't have to describe each member.
I don't care about separate films necessarily, but I care about good introductions.
Yeah,
like a great example is what they did with Spider-Man and Civil War. All right, they didn't give an origin story. Now, a lot of people would say "Oh, thank God, we don't want that. We don't want the origin story." But that's not why people loved Spider-Man and Civil War, because no origin story. In fact, I loved Spider-Man and Civil War because I don't care how you do it. Just make a proper introduction so I know the character. And within 2 scenes, they established exactly what that kid's going through and exactly what his ability is. And you're like, I get it. I get the relationship and everything.
Yeah.
And they did it brilliantly.
You'll notice that
just to play devil's advocate, no one knows DC backstories. Like the normal person would not know the Green Lantern origin story.
I don't care. Just make it good and make me understand the character, where they're coming from. That's all I want to know. Now, if that takes 5 solo movies before your Justice League movie, fine.
That would make sense.
If it takes 2 solo movies before your Justice League movie, fine. I don't care. I just want to know. And then also the other thing, I've had a debate about this with one of my friends that we co-host on the show Proper Villains, Brockus. He knows a lot about comics, but I've debated with him on this. And
man.
Brockus?
I've hung with Brockus too, man.
I'm friends with Brockus, yeah.
Yeah. Brockus is awesome, dude. He knows everything about comics. But I got him to agree with me. Him and I have been talking about when it comes to the Justice League and it comes to especially theatrically, there's a big problem. There's a big problem no one's talking about, and it's called Batman. And it's called what the fuck do you? I love Batman in his own world, but what the fuck do you do with Batman?
Deathstroke.
No. What the fuck do you do with Batman in Justice League? And after I saw the movie, aside from the movie being a total dumpster fire, I also just noticed how useless Batman was, how silly he was. He was so out of place. You got to figure out something for the guy or get rid of him. He doesn't work in Justice League.
This is what makes Batman an integral and certainly a pivotal part of any sort of iteration of Justice League. He is the guy that has the plan. He is the guy. He is the strategist. He is.
See, I've heard that shit before. He's fucking smarter than Martian Manhunter. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, it isn't about intelligence.
He makes the plans. The guy who's stuck on Earth has no powers and just gets PhD.
It's not about intelligence. It's not about intelligence level.
Ugh.
It's about having the ability to come up with plans. There's some of the smartest people
So that's his
on the
power.
world. Yeah, it's
He's
some
the
of the
planner.
smartest people on Earth.
You gotta do better than this. Like, it's to me, it doesn't work. It's like Wonder Woman. I trust her more to make a tactical plan than Batman.
I just realized the same
Here's the thing.
with both-
It's not about intelligence. Some of the smartest people in the world do some of the stupidest things.
So then
It's
you
not
got
about
this
intelligence.
dumbass lunk in the corner who just is good at making plans. It's like, stay out of the way, but give us a plan, buddy.
He's got a point. I mean, I can't. It's true.
It's tough. Like, I'm not saying I hate Batman. I love Batman in his own world. He's an awesome character. I love the 90s animated series. It's one of my favorite animated series of all time. But when he comes to, like, when he jumps into the Justice League, it's like, what's your power, bro? I got money. Aquaman is like 10 times...
Dumbest line ever.
Dude, Aquaman is like 10 times more rich than this motherfucker. So it's like, what else do you got? I can make plans. Aquaman rules a fucking civilization. How much more planning do you... It's just like, I look like a bat sometimes. Okay, your target practice.
I just realized something. The same problems the DC movies have, the Cloverfield movie has as well.
What
I don't
is
see
that?
where you're going with that.
Yeah,
I mean-
that's a reach, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, the same problem is the pacing's there, but no, either not gonna understand it or not get it for each of them.
No,
Yeah,
I
you lost.
disagree
You
with
lost me there. Yeah.
Yeah, the pacing, first of all, is not quite there.
Yeah, I lost myself
The
as
pacing-
well.
The pacing of 10 Cloverfield Lane, to me, pitch perfect. I mean, again,
Yeah.
people who are even fans of that movie, they'll complain about the last 10 minutes and the aliens and blah, blah, blah. I liked it. I'm a dumb moviegoer at heart. Just give me some good entertainment, tell a good story, and then blow my mind with some cool effects. I don't care. It was awesome.
Well, see,
But-
yeah, okay. So
But
the
the DC movies are suffering from pacing. Like,
Yeah.
I
let's
still to this day
stop.
watch the
back to
BVS
Cloverfield.
the BVS director's cut, and I still watch that and I go, how did this fix shit?
Well, that's great, but let's get back to Cloverfield 2 there. So,
Yeah, let's get back to it.
as a standalone, if that movie had come out as a standalone, I would say yeah, it was an okay movie.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that it's part of the Cloverfield series, I felt like it was not a great movie.
I think it was excellent. I thought it was the best of the three easily. It was very well made.
Wait, what story are you
I
talking
mean, it
about?
was well made. Yeah, I mean, it had John Goodman for Christ's
Oh, yeah,
sake.
that was a good one.
Are you with us now? You know what we're talking
Yes,
about?
yes, I am back to understanding.
10 Cloverfield Lane. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
John Goodman's a good actor. Like, he played Fred
He's
Flintstone.
fantastic.
Dude, I just thought it was a
Wait,
very,
wait,
very
wait.
intense situation, and I thought it was very well directed, and I thought it was pitch perfect. You can complain about the last 10 minutes, but I thought, okay, that's the injection of the whole Cloverfield anthology creepy shit happening.
Yeah.
But it was a fantastic ride. I loved it.
Well, yes, but I do think that, if you're going to put it into that series, you should have had a little more of the Cloverfield feel in it.
Like a monster.
Well, then I think,
did at the end.
Like,
Then
even
I
a
think
small
you're-
one.
yeah, but then I think you're missing the point of what JJ was going for, and actually, what JJ was going for is, to me, was most available in the 10 Cloverfield Lane movie. Cloverfield Paradox is where I was like, ew, I hope he's not going this way. I liked where he was going with 10 Cloverfield Lane. I liked that he would take a movie and go, okay, let's reverse engineer this and make like Twilight Zone movies for theatrical release. Like, let's make that. And I liked that idea. And then Cloverfield Paradox was like, they're all connected, but we can still do whatever we want. And it was like, all right, you don't have much to say.
Well, yeah,
Or is
but
it ti-
which is it? Was he perfectly on point with that movie, or did he not know where it was going? Because I have a feeling
Which one?
the number 2. I really do have a feeling that he just sort of picked up a side screenplay
Yeah,
about.
I'm not saying
people-
he knew. No. I'm not saying he knew where he was
Mind
going.
if I finish?
Sorry about that. I just don't. I'm not saying I knew where he knew where he was going.
Okay, so we won't make that point. But to me, Cloverfield looks like he took a movie that was supposed to be about people living in fallout shelter while something had happened, and he sewed it into the Cloverfield universe.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, that's garbage.
No, hold on. It was a movie. It was a movie called The Cellar, and
Wow.
I'm sure as a movie by itself, it was fantastic. And
Yeah.
yes, that's exactly what JJ did. Is he came in and he said, "Let's reverse engineer this." To me, that's just a cool concept. It's something new. That's cool. It's like, okay, let's take a normal movie that already has mystery injected into it, and then let's add on top of that mystery that this could be something even bigger than you thought it could be. It could have to do with aliens or monsters, and it could be connected in this anthology universe. And they don't have to be connected, but through it being an anthology, it is connected. And I dug that. Some people didn't. But would you have rather had just straight up a Cloverfield sequel written from the ground up? Because I bet you that would have disappointed your ass.
Yeah, it would have disappointed.
There's no way they could follow that up.
I think that it would have been a little better had he put a little more Cloverfield in it. Just maybe more hints, maybe some weird shit inside the Fallout shelter that was way more tied into the series.
What made that movie was interesting as fuck because of the light sprinkles. I think I would have felt spoon-fed if it was like, by the way, I worked for Tag Gruatu.
No.
yeah,
I'm not asking for anything like that.
Oh, here's a good question. Mercolium says, "Whatever happened to M. Night Shyamalan?"
Shamalama Ding Dong?
Hey, how much? I'm sorry, I'm trying to still get your names. Who's the gentleman I've been talking to the most? Is that Brian?
Well, me, yeah, that would be.
That's Big Fat Brian, the
Yes.
one and
Okay.
only. The one
I'm
and
still
only.
getting used to Discord, guys. I apologize.
It's
But
cool.
Brian, I want your opinion on this, Brian. What do you think about JJ? Let's say for the 5th Cloverfield movie, JJ gives it in the hands, doesn't let him write it. He writes it himself, but gives it into the directing hands of M. Night Shyamalan. And on top of that, what did you think of Split then?
Split was brilliant.
Well, I think that M. Night Shyamalan's a pretty good director.
No, Split was horrible.
Stop, let him-
No, look,
You're talking about his writing ability.
Yeah, we're not talking about his writing
We're
ability.
Yeah,
talking
give
about
him his chance. I wanna
director
hear him.
skill.
He is a good director. He knows how to
He's
direct
brilliant.
suspense.
He is.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him a chance. Let him talk.
I think that he does know how to direct suspense, and he would be able to do a decent job as a director. But as a writer, I think he would fuck that shit up real quick.
Okay, so you wouldn't mind seeing that actually. I think his directing style could fit into the Cloverfield universe. I absolutely agree with
But
you.
the whole movie would be about the twist.
Stop it. Well, they kind of are.
Yeah,
So it
exactly.
kind of
That's how they are.
The whole
could you
storyline is one
imagine-
big twist.
10 Cloverfield Lane could have easily been.
It's so easy to follow what you're all saying.
Is that
Thank
lo-fi?
God for that.
Is that my waifu?
Am I your waifu? I wasn't a fan. Where was anyone's waifu?
No, I heard
Hello?
lo-fi. Where's lo-fi?
Hey, Sal.
Is that my fingers?
My fingers.
My
Hello.
fingers is my waifu.
It's my
Lo-fi.
fingers.
Lo-fi is my co-host on Proper Villains. Lo-fi, introduce your stupid Danish ass self.
Hello, my name is Lo-Fi, and I have many voices.
Jesus Christ, that's her real voice, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a womanly voice there you have.
She has a penis.
Apologies.
It's confirmed.
Apologies.
A feminine.
I'm sorry for that. I can speak like this way more
Look, I
fluently.
don't
No,
care.
don't do your.
I don't care what's between your legs, baby. It's how you use that mouth that matters. Go on.
Hey, hey.
Get on down here.
A crumpled
Get
pile
down
here in
here.
your lap.
Confirmed.
Crumpled pile here in your lap.
Blah, 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 blah.
Hey, I don't like what's going on here with my waifu. She ain't no whore.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it
I just
says
take
you.
one for sex.
That's what everyone says until they find out they're whores.
Oh, okay, fair
Everyone's
enough. You're probably a whore, Lo-Fi.
Depends.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, to get back on track, I was talking about M. Night Shyamalan possibly directing a Cloverfield movie. Brian, I would like Brian and then the rest of the room's opinion on M. Night's latest movie, Split, if that's okay.
Split was
Never
pretty
saw
good,
it.
freaking good.
Well,
I actually
I
really
wish I
enjoyed it.
could give you
Fucking
an
love it.
opinion on that, but I haven't seen it.
Dude, it's fantastic.
If
The
you
ending.
forget it's a part of Unbreakable.
Yeah. The way they tied it in at the end was just fucking, it was awesome.
I loved that the movie's twist was, this whole time this has been a villain origin story for Unbreakable's David Dunn.
Oh, well, that's great. I'm probably gonna watch it now.
It was definitely like, okay, because I want to clear this up. Like, I loved M. Night Shyamalan's work even all the way up to The Village. Say what you want about that. I love his directing style.
No, I like The Village was
good.
And Split, to me, was like a magical return to what I knew he was capable of. And it still had issues, but like, god damn it, when M. Night is on, he's on. And he just like, I just don't think he's aware of where his skills lie, and he tries to do too much. And I think if he would just to focus on what he's good at, he could be incredible sometimes. But then he does Last Airbender, and you go, what the fuck?
Oh God,
yes,
that was horrible.
Okay.
What did y'all think about Wayward Pines?
No. Whoa, before we get off.
Okay, man. I thought the first season was brilliant. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, season 1 was great.
Look.
What are we talking about?
Wayward Pines.
What is that?
Wayward Pines was a kind of like The Prisoner.
It's kind of it's kind of like The Prisoner and Twin Peaks put together, and it
was by M. Night.
Yeah, he produced it and directed a couple of the episodes of it. Yeah,
it was for
Shit.
Fox.
Yeah.
Was it any good?
It was man, it was good. I liked
Season
it.
2 is horrible.
Yeah, season 2 was a little shitty.
It became aliens at that point.
Yeah, no, come on, man.
What a twist.
Yeah, but the first season was great.
What a twist.
Yeah,
season 2 felt like the movie Aliens.
No, it wasn't even close to that. That was
what?
Aliens is actually good.
Did you just compare a crap season of TV to one of the greatest movies ever made?
I mean the vibe. It went from a horror vibe to an action vibe.
Because you're selling me now on season 2 of Wayward Pines. No, it's like Aliens.
No, he's right. It went from a horror sci-fi thing to more of an action thing. Using that definition. So I get that.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I before we go on, I just want to go back to M. Night Shyamalan, and I want to say that The Village, the movie The Village, right? Yes. I know a lot of people really didn't like it because it was a disappointment at the end, but I think that a lot of people didn't understand that movie was supposed to make you feel that way.
I think also I appreciated, especially his first 4 films, Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, and The Village. To me, you can take those 4 films, and that, speaking of Cloverfield, that is kind of what JJ's trying to do now, but M. Night got away with it years ago.
Because no one noticed it.
Yeah, and like, if you look at those movies now, like, you could be like, oh, they're so ridiculous, they're so silly. Watch a Twilight Zone episode. They get way worse.
Oh yeah.
And that's what
Twilight Zone or the reboot with Forrest Whitaker.
That's what he was making, was Twilight Zone movies with twists at the end. And it's like
what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but the Twilight Zone had never. That's like a brand new thing at the time.
But then his head went up. Then his head went up his ass, and
it's still up there.
No, I think he got the ego shot the fuck out of him because of Last Airbender, Lady in the Water. What else was there? He was just crashing.
Suicide movie. The movie where everybody commits suicide.
The Happening. The Happening.
The one thing that
was amazing.
Exactly. That's oh my god.
So fun.
Shoot yourself, man.
He was getting
the water was terrible.
I think he got his ass kicked, and I think that was good for his ego.
Yes.
And he went back to his roots, and he made this movie called Split, which has issues, but still, I feel like that was like him realizing, like, oh shit, I work best with like a $15 million budget and a small idea with a big mysterious scope behind it.
Well, nothing humbles a man like abject, humiliation.
Dude, if any one of us made the same movie he made with Last Airbender, our egos would be in the negative. We would be we would have learned our lesson. Dude, that guy got railed for that.
Yeah, no
shit.
Fucking sucks.
Okay. Well, we're looking at needing to wrap this thing up, man. But it's been fun. The idea was to do this. The call-in thing was what had a little bit more order to it, but we planned it fast. This has been a quick together, man. Put it together in 2 days. I thought it was. We had the idea the other day. So Brian, any last comments on the Cloverfield paradox before we call it a day?
Yeah, sure. I think that Paradox was a solid 7 out of 10 movie, and I can't wait for number 4 to come out.
I thought it was great.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good, baby. I like it. Touch me when you say shit like that. I like it when you say it. But so yeah, the whole multiverse thing always gets me. It's going to be fun to see where they go with this stuff. Every good work of art is going to get picked apart, especially by the artist. So if it makes Abrams and his crew work harder to come out with these next movies, it's a good thing.
I hope the next one knocks it out of the park, but I will say Cloverfield Paradox, much like Star Wars: The Last Jedi, it deflated my interest in the mythos. It really did. Yeah. But I hope the next one's great.
That's another show altogether. But on that, Lady Thorne, I know you had a hard time popping in, and sorry about the communication on that thing, sweetheart. But we're going to end it here. But we're going to do something next time.
Hello.
Okay? All right, guys.
All right.
It's been fun. It's nice to meet everybody. And this is Irate Prostate saying the first call in successfully out. Dater.